You're watching Let the Quran Speak. Now we answer questions we've received from you, our viewers, and if you have a question yourself, you can visit our website, www.quranspeaks.com. Okay, Brother Shabir, this is a question about movies in general, and I guess it's a two-part question. The first is, are Muslims allowed to act in movies? And second, are Muslims allowed to watch movies, and if so, what kind of movies?
Well, to begin with, we should be very clear that the Quran is very short on rules. The Quran is a collection of some 6,000 verses, 6,236 to be exact. Whereas on the best count, there are only 500 or less verses of those that actually prescribe rules. And when the rules are prescribed, they're very broad rules. So, for example, the rules regarding clothing, what can be worn and what could be worn and what could not be worn, for example. Very broad regulations. And these regulations do not apply to non-Muslims. They only apply to the believers, because the believers are being addressed and told, okay, this is what you are supposed to do, which means that if Muslims are in a majority situation and there is a Muslim rule, then non-Muslims would be allowed to continue to exist as minorities, and they would follow their own rules. So the rules for female dress, for example, wouldn't apply to the non-Muslim females. And naturally, there will be some interaction, and Muslim men will see non-Muslim women being as they are without the usual Muslim women's cover.
So how does this relate to movies?
Well, how it relates to movies is that on the question of watching movies to begin with, there are non-Muslim female actors, just as there may be a non-Muslim female news broadcaster, and she would not be with the Muslim woman's head covering. So the question is, can a Muslim man watch such a news broadcast? Can a Muslim man watch an actress, for example? So these are questions which are not directly answered in the Quran, but I've tried to show you that there is a certain breadth that is there in the Islamic tradition, and a lot that is left open to human judgment. The rules are not written about this in the Quran, but one would be educated by the Quran, one would develop a mindset that comes out of reading the Quran, and then one would apply that mindset in making judgments about a wide variety of things, whether to watch this movie or another one, and so on. So I wouldn't give a direct answer to that and say yes or no, but I would call on individuals to read the Quran, to be educated about it, to develop that mindset that serves God and wants to be faithful to God, and at the same time that allowing that mindset to make judgments between what is good and bad, and what is good and bad in a certain situation is different from what is good and bad in a certain other situation. Certain things are definitely and absolutely always good or bad, but there are certain things which are situational. They change from one circumstance to another. Each individual has a certain range of options that is open before him or her. And the good individual is the one who chooses the good items in that range. So, you know, there's a wide variety of movies. There are movies made for children, there are movies made for general audiences, there are movies that are rated PG, there are movies that are rated R. There are movies that emphasize action, there are movies that emphasize eroticism. So one has to make choices between what's available and think about how to spend one's time in a way that reflects the goal of being faithful to God and serving humanity. The little time that we allot to entertainment, that has to be done with circumspection as well. Looking around, see what options are available, and picking the good items from within that range of options.
All right, great answer. Let's move on to the other one. I want to know, what are the responsibilities of a husband towards his wife and kids? And what will happen if he does not fulfill his moral and legal duties?
The obligation of men towards his wife and children obviously varies from one circumstance to another. In classical times, it was thought that the man is the breadwinner. He is responsible for providing bread on the table, to make sure that his family is well looked after. In this vein, the Quran in Surah 4, verse 34 says, "Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa." Let it be such that the men protect and maintain their womenfolk. So the Qadi, or the judge of the region, was to ensure that men bear this responsibility. To a certain extent, this is still being done today, and even in our modern developed society, a man might be responsible for paying child support and support to his estranged wife, for example. But it also works in reverse, in that a woman who is well-to-do would be responsible for offering this kind of support as well. In the classical formulations of Islamic law, it wasn't thought about that way. It was thought that women were not responsible to the household. Whatever finances they had and whatever wealth they possessed was their very own, to be spent in whatever sweet way they desire, and they did not have financial responsibility for their families. Though, of course, emotionally and out of some moral sort of feeling of obligation, they may naturally contribute, but they're not legally required. So with changing mores and customs and new environments and new dynamics between men and women, we can think more clearly about this, and we can say that as much as God has equipped men with certain qualities and abilities to earn money, to be a father figure in the house, these are all his responsibilities, and he should take care of these responsibilities. If he doesn't, then he'll be responsible before God.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your time, Brother Shabir.
Welcome.
And we'd like to hear from you. Please visit our website, www.quranspeaks.com. Send us your comments, your suggestions, and of course, your donations. I'm Safiya Ali. For all of us here at Let the Quran Speak, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.